unelected bureaucrats. You don't want them to determine what diversity, A, identifies you today or is deemed a priority. It becomes entirely subjective, and the people who make those subjective judgment calls are people who are not beholden to you. Good news is DEI is dead.
Yes.
Yeah, DEI is dead because
Tilt it.
Donald Trump came in and it's already dead.
That did not take long.
And very concerned about this, obviously.
Yeah.
For obvious reasons. It's very obvious. Sonny Hostin.
Bitch!
The View, very concerned. Like she thinks that people, aside from the very small viewership of The View, are like, yes, DEI must be maintained. It's what the founding fathers would have wanted, or stupid crap. So here she is saying some stupid things about Donald Trump, DEI, and I think she even, if I'm remembering the clip, said something about the white billionaire being a DEI hire.
Donald Trump saying things that this country would be a meritocracy. You're talking about a man who didn't become the president of the United States because of merit. He hasn't he had no political experience whatsoever.
I want a mustard
he had no
hot dog
business
right
experience.
now.
He was given everything that he has. He is a legacy hire.
Wrong.
He is, if anything, a DEI hire, a didn't earn it hire.
Okay, yeah, let me explain this, dummy. You can be a legacy hire or a DEI hire. You can't necessarily be both. There aren't a lot of legacy country club. Oh, yes, well, this, of course, has been run by us current people. I'm going to install my son Jamal in Tyrone. That's not how it works. DEI typically doesn't apply to the billionaire ultra-white guy who was politically prosecuted. Let me make it really clear, because they try and equivocate, and then, for example, if you mock them, they'll say that you're crying. I'm not upset at all. I hope Sonny Hostin never goes off the air. Kamala Harris was DEI. Now, let me just make this case. I want to make sure, and you guys can let me know if this makes sense. Okay. The accusation of Kamala Harris being a DEI hire is because no one in the American public chose her at large. Also, no political experience aside from filleting a mayor. She was chosen through an undemocratic process by those in power in the DNC because she was half black and something or other. It's time. So people, I would say justifiably, made the accusation that, you know what, it seems like a DEI hire. That is different from 77 million votes for a billionaire white guy who had to earn it. One's DEI, potentially. One is not.
Yep.
Got it?
No, a really good stark example of that too, Ketanji Brown Jackson. Mm-hmm. Not because she's black and a woman, but because President Biden, former vice president,
respect the office,
Joseph R. Biden, went out and said the next one is going to be a black woman.
Yeah.
Not the most qualified candidate. She could have been the most qualified candidate. Fine, let her stand on that merit. Don't go out and say before you've made the nominee, it's going to be a black woman, because that qualifies as a DEI at that point. It's like, it's going to be a black woman for the sake of being a black woman, not because it's the best person for the job.
Yeah.
Same thing with Kamala.
Yeah.
Better late than never, but at least they finally recognize that DEI stands for didn't earn it.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
It's true.
Do you think
Also, she said he has no political experience. That would have worked in 2016.
Yeah.
It doesn't work in 2025.
Yeah, exactly.
Because he's already president once.
Elections.
Also, I don't really care. Matter of fact, I think political experience is a net negative. It's a demerit if I'm looking at voting for you. I don't want someone who has learned how to present as a public servant while fleecing the American people, who has suckled at the teat of government for Biden, 50-something years. I want someone who has a little bit of experience. I want someone who, at least in some capacity, can relate to people out there in America who have to make an honest buck out there in the private sector. Is it me? You can comment below. Let's go through what's happening here, though, with DEI, why she's so upset. Let's just rattle off some fast facts. Fast fact number one, Donald Trump, this was yesterday, ordered all federal DEI employees paid leave. He said, walk this way like Aerosmith.
They love paid leave.
It was by 5 p.m. today, actually. So they were paid leave by 5 p.m. today. I'm reading this here. All DEI offices shut down. Hold on, before I move on with this, remember when you were told that DEI was a conspiracy theory? Like, oh, they say DEI. What they're talking about is just natural diversity. No. DEI offices shut down.
They have office space that's open now.
It's kind of like, oh, you think pedophiles? Well, there was pedophile sex island. That was a thing. It existed. It was an actual, like geographically, you can identify it. Like Snake Island. I believe there's an island of snakes.
But one is better than the other one.
It's true. I'd
And
much
it's
rather
snakes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I would much rather be on Snake Island. All DEI office employees, their email access was suspended, and then any DEI training or DEI contractors have been canceled. There you go. Until further notice.
Pull that back up really quickly. Hold on. I want to see that last bullet point here. So take down all outward-facing media, vehicles, social media accounts, etc. of DEI offices. They wiped it from the history books, essentially.
Yes. The notice also demanded that any coded language for DEI be identified. It said, we are aware of efforts by some in government to disguise these programs by using coded or imprecise language. If you are aware of a change in any contract description to obscure the connection between the contract and DEIA or similar ideologies, please report all facts and circumstances within 10 days. Let me just laser in on this point here. Here's the real problem with DEI. Okay? And this is why they have to point this out. Anyone who's trying to use coded language, when you say, hey, we're going from a merit-based system, which is something that is observable, something that can be quantified, right? Not just qualifications, experience, performance. When you move it to some sort of nebulous idea like DEI, guess what? That puts the control in the hands of those people, those unelected bureaucrats, to select and engineer these departments. That's how you end up with a weaponized DOJ. That's how you end up with an ineffective military. Because, well, hold on a second. For a long period of time, let's use the military as an example, we cared about push-ups, flat feet, the ability to be fit. How good of a shot were you, right? When it came to other offices in government, what is your experience level? For example, if we're talking about the IRS, do you have experience as a CPA? Do you have experience with, are you good with numbers? When you take everything that can be observed and quantified on a sheet of paper and in person to, but I think we need X diversity. What do you mean by X? Depends on the day. Today it's black people. Tomorrow it's Stop Asian Hate. Next day it's LGBTQ fear for their lives.
Right.
Oh, so you can engineer this department however you want. That's what's so evil about DEI. It always leads to more power to a very select few. Because you can't tell me the hiring practices that you would standardize through DEI. It's left a choice in the political winds of the day. And of course, you had companies like Meta, Walmart. They've walked back DEI in response to Trump's win. So you see the private sector following a little bit. They probably wanted to, but they were afraid.
They needed some cover. I'm hoping that's what it was. They needed some cover. I wish that they had the guts to do it and be a leader in the first place. But hopefully more people are like, oh, thank God we can let this thing go.
Yeah, exactly. Here's another fact for you. Fast fact number 2. Donald Trump is removing affirmative action from all federal hiring. He basically undid Lyndon Johnson's executive order 1102, or was it? Yeah.
11246.
Sorry. Yeah, I was reading that wrong.
It's not the NMLS number.
Yes. There you go. That started about 60 years ago. And you guys may not remember this, but the Supreme Court actually deemed affirmative action unconstitutional as it related to higher education admissions. There were, cases with Harvard, with, I believe, Brown. And of course, we did affirmative action is racist, change my mind on campus for a very long time. And so Donald Trump is not just acting as a tyrant, he's now expanding the principle that the Supreme Court recognized to the federal government, which is under his purview. If the Supreme Court says, well, you can't do that with schools, he's saying, okay, because it's wrong. We're allowed to make this merit-based as it relates to public servants. Great. Did I see something coming in?
Yeah, so just one of the things, going back to DEI, you remember the Mug Club Undercover story?
Yes.
About, was it Riggs?
Yes.
Thomas
in
Riggs.
DEI, kind of describing what Donald Trump would do, and it turns out he's a bit clairvoyant. We've got the clip if you'd like to see it.
Let's see it.
Joint Chiefs is that if Trump's the president, then there is no more DEI. It goes away.
You say that like it's a bad thing, Thomas.
Shut down the office with the Pentagon. It'll go away. So that would change things. Right? If we have a Republican in office, it will bolster our military. If we have a Democrat, it'll continue to just be the make do with what you have, slap things together, put duct tape on.
So there you go. And here's how you know, people say find common ground. Let me give you kind of a a test that you can use. You can apply this to see if common ground is even possible. It's really simple. If you both are saying the exact same thing with a different tone. So in other words, you can't find common ground if you're going, hey, if Donald Trump's elected, there'll be no more DEI. When the opposition is saying, if Donald Trump's elected, there'll be no more DEI. No common ground. We're saying the exact same thing. Different conclusions. Make sense? Fast fact number 3. Trump, this one's a good one. He affirmed the United States one flag policy. What that means is you won't have any more Black Lives Matter, LGBTQ, AAIP, Bishop flags that'll be flying next to the United States flag. And I know this seems like radical to those on the left. I say this has been the practice and policy of every nation with a flag ever. The left thought that this was appropriate to do with the United States flag. You know, the American flag was a supporting cast member to chicks with and for those of you,
that has to be a policy.
Yeah, it is. It's absolutely insane. And you know what? Even if you want to fly a rainbow flag at your house, fine. This is about the halls of American government.
It's not about your house.
We're not here to preserve sexual preferences. We're not here to preserve the kind of friction you like. We're here to preserve a constitutional republic, and so we fly that flag. Does it make sense? And for those saying, well, it's just a flag, who cares? This is what was happening beneath that flag on the grounds of the White House.
Mr. President, it is an honor. Trans rights are human rights.
Are we topless at the White House?
Yeah. Do me a favor.
Yuck. Extend
that into every school. Public schools, we need to have the American flag. No other flags. Thank you very much. None whatsoever. Just that one.
Yeah.
You can do what you want at home, not in school.
Also, I mean, if we're doing that here, I mean, then you also understand that U.S. embassies that were flying LGBTQ flags abroad, sometimes in nations that want nothing to do with it. Like, we shouldn't be exporting degeneracy. That's my opinion.
No. Why is sex that important?
It's kind of their focus.
It's like their only focus.
Stay out of my bedroom. Can I give you name, number, and date of my personal sexual practices? I don't want to know. What are you, homophobic?
Look at me.
Yes.
Look at it.
I need to go topless at the White House to make a point.
And of course, they're very brave. They're very brave. They fly those LGBTQ plus flags in other countries, except for places like Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Afghanistan. Right? They didn't fly the flags there. It was like, come on. We want to make a point, but you know, we don't want to be too gutsy.
We don't want to start a war.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Here's where we are. DEI was racist, is racist, will always be racist. It is antithetical to what Martin Luther King believed, content of character, and that would extend to merit-based recognition of human beings. Look, I will tell you this. I teach my children that you are not to take pride or to feel shame for characteristics that you had no control over. Shouldn't feel ashamed that you were born a white male. Shouldn't feel proud that you were born a white male. Shouldn't feel proud that you're this has nothing to do with you. Everything else is earned. Your actions define you. That's what this nation was founded on. Your identity is not determined by a king. It's not determined by someone else in charge, even though you didn't elect them. Your identity is determined by your actions. DEI is antithetical to that. It's about aggregating power with a very select few. It is what grows the swamp. And even if you think, hey, maybe we need to rebalance the scales as far as race or gender, whatever, you don't want people like AOC, people like Jack Smith. You don't want those people like Fauci, unelected bureaucrats. You don't want them to determine what diversity, A, identifies you today or is deemed a priority. It becomes entirely subjective, and the people who make those subjective judgment calls are people who are not beholden to you. Also, can everyone recognize here that at the very least, love him or hate him, Donald Trump is like a bat out of hell right now. He is on a mission, and you may not like it, but he's keeping a lot of those promises. I'm happy about that. Hey, if you enjoyed watching this video, you probably enjoy watching the show. It's live, weekdays at 10 a.m. Eastern. If you want that to continue, if you slap like or slap the comment button down there, I'll slap Gerald. Wait, if you don't slap it, I'll slap. Either way, I'm going to slap Gerald.